The movie starts with a scary scene as a man sound asleep is suddenly awakened as his throat is being cut. It's then revealed that this man is killed by the hands of two psychopath robbers named Buddy and Purvis, who don't spare anyone else in his group either. Buddy and Purvis hear some horse riders approaching them and decide to hide among some rocks nearby. Purvis also catches a weird, far-off howling sound. Buddy, however, advises him to pay no attention to it and keep moving forward. They come across what seems to be an old Native American burial site. The strange howling sound returns, and out of nowhere, Buddy is unexpectedly struck in the neck by an arrow. A mysterious figure emerges and violently kills him. Purvis tries to escape but stumbles over the burial ground stones. Fast forward to 11 days later, and we find ourselves in the town of Bright Hope. Here, we meet Arthur and Samantha O'Dwyer, a married couple who reside in the town. We notice that Arthur's right leg appears to be broken, seemingly due to his choice to work on a roof during a storm. It's now nighttime, and we observe that Purvis has survived the attack. He's busy burying a bag beneath a tree. Next, we are introduced to Sheriff Franklin Hunt and his backup deputy, Chicory. Chicory informs Sheriff Hunt about a suspicious man carrying luggage just outside of town. Sheriff offers him a cup of soup and advises him to relax for a moment. However, once Sheriff realizes the seriousness of the situation, he makes the decision to confront Purvis. At a bar, Sheriff approaches Purvis, pretending to be Buddy, and inquires about his presence in Bright Hope Town. Purvis insists that he hasn't committed any wrongdoing or crimes. However, Sheriff notices that Purvis is wearing clothes that don't fit him properly, indicating that they might be stolen. Additionally, he questions Purvis about what he has buried in the ground. In an attempt to escape, Purvis pushes Chicory and makes a run for it. Sheriff responds swiftly by shooting him in the leg. Sheriff then requests a bar patron named John Bruder, a cool cowboy and a chick magnet, to go and fetch Doc Samantha while they escort Purvis to the jail. Samantha is intimately connecting with Arthur. Arthur is having fun and enjoying the moment. After their horizontal tango, Samantha is tending to his injured leg. She asks him to share a poem he's written for her. Embarrassed, Arthur tries to avoid reading the poem, but their moment is interrupted by Bruder. Bruder informs Samantha about the incident and the urgent need for her assistance in removing the bullet from Purvis's leg. He explains that Doc Taylor is currently passed out from drinking and cannot do the job. Sheriff searches Purvis's bag and uncovers several stolen items. This discovery leads him to suspect that Purvis might have murdered the original owners of these belongings. Samantha arrives at the jail, and Sheriff instructs his deputy, Nick, to stay with her while she tends to her injuries. She asks the sheriff to deliver a message to Arthur that she'll be occupied tonight and won't be able to return home. Sheriff informs Arthur that Deputy Nick will ensure his wife's safe return home while Samantha tends to Purvis's injured leg. Meanwhile, Stable Boy hears the strange howling sound, similar to what the robbers heard up in the mountains. He approaches the stable where the horses are noticeably agitated. Suddenly, the stable boy is brutally attacked and dismembered by an unseen assailant. The following morning, Sheriff Hunt's breakfast is disrupted by Clarence, the bar owner. Clarence informs Sheriff about the murder of the stable boy. He explains that he attempted to report the crime at the sheriff's office but found it completely empty. Sheriff then proceeds to the office and discovers that both the office and the jail are completely vacant. He notices an arrow lodged in the wall, seemingly of Indian origin. Additionally, he observes Samantha's surgical bag still inside the jail cell, leading him to the realization that she never made it home as intended. He instructs Chicory to go and fetch the professor, Tall Trees, and then meet him at the bar. Sheriff breaks the news to Arthur that his wife has been abducted by Indians. In his shocked state, Arthur is so anxious to find Samantha that he forgets to even put on his shoes, rushing out in haste. They all gather at the bar, and bring in an expert on Native American Indians named Tall Trees, who is himself a Native American. Tall Trees proceeds to explain that the Indians responsible for the abduction are troglodytes, a brutal and cannibalistic group of cave-dwelling people who spare no one entering their territory. Tall Trees marks the possible location of the troglodytes' cave on a map, indicating it's situated in an area known as the Valley of the Starving Men. He grimly warns Sheriff that they will face a formidable challenge in dealing with them, and it will be a suicide mission. Sheriff and Arthur both express their determination to be the ones leading the rescue mission for Samantha and Nick. Sheriff instructs Chicory to stay behind, but Chicory refuses, insisting that he will join the mission. John Bruder also steps forward as a volunteer, citing a sense of obligation to Samantha since he's the one who inadvertently involved her. He states that he's killed more Indians than everyone there put together, stating it as a plain fact rather than a boast. We see Arthur gathering his belongings, including a letter he wrote to Samantha. He mentions that she will hear its contents soon. We observe Sheriff Hunt as he prepares food with his wife, Lorna. She pleads with him not to go, but he explains that it's his duty as a sheriff. He then embraces and kisses her before departing. We also witness Chicory paying his respects to his late wife. Once fully prepared, the group of four rides out of Bright Hope on their mission to rescue Samantha. They make camp, and Chicory notices Bruder setting up bells on tripwires around the area. Chicory advises everyone to keep their guns nearby while they sleep and shoot at anything that makes the bells ring. He stresses that anyone approaching the camp without identifying themselves is either a criminal or a savage. The next night, Sheriff and Chicory talk about Arthur's deteriorating leg condition. Chicory mentions that he has performed a field amputation before and warns that the chances of survival are very low. The group is approached by two Mexican men, and they are held at gunpoint. Sheriff questions them and instructs them to approach slowly, but suddenly, both men are shot dead by Bruder. Sheriff becomes angry, saying there was no need to kill them. Bruder argues that they must move their camp to a more defensible location. Chicory also observes the corpses and notices that the men are armed and not friendly, supporting Bruder's decision to kill them. Later, they move their camp to a more secure location, but during the night, they are ambushed by raiders. They successfully eliminate one of the raiders, but the rest manage to flee with their horses. Bruder is shocked and expresses his disappointment, stating that his loyal horse, Saucy, should have resisted instead of allowing a stranger to ride away with her. Arthur then points out to Bruder that his horse did indeed put up a fight and is now lying injured in the distance, leading to a highly emotional moment. Bruder expresses his gratitude to Saucy for her service and, with a heavy heart, is compelled to put her down in order to relieve his pain. The group makes the decision to travel during the night and rest during the day to increase their chances of reaching their destination safely. They advise Arthur to start ahead and proceed at his own pace. However, Bruder makes an ill-timed joke about Samantha, suggesting he'll flirt with her if he arrives first. This infuriates Arthur, causing him to fall in his attempt to confront Bruder and worsening his leg injury. Chicory realizes that amputation may be necessary, but Arthur refuses. Instead, he asks Chicory to set his leg and allows himself some time to rest. Sheriff assures Arthur that he'll mark their route with 4 stones periodically so that Arthur can follow their path when he's ready. In the middle of the night, as the group continues, they hear the howling of the troglodytes in the distance, a sign that they must be approaching the danger zone. Bruder reveals to Chicory that Indians murdered his mother and sisters, fueling his hate for them. The following day, they successfully locate the Valley of the Starving Men, but are suddenly ambushed by the troglodytes. This is the point in the film where the violence becomes truly brutal and gory. They manage to eliminate 2 of the troglodytes, but Bruder loses his hand during the attack. He tells Sheriff Hunt and Chicory to leave him behind because he doesn't want to live as a handicapped person. Bruder reveals to Chicory that he has killed 116 Indians and vows to take down as many as he can, before he dies. Sheriff Hunt reassures him that they will ensure his death has significance. In a gesture of respect, Chicory lights up Bruder's cigar. Bruder uses his rifle to flip the dead troglodyte over and discovers something unusual on its neck. When he presses the rifle to the stomach of the dead troglodyte, it reveals that the sound produced by the troglodytes comes out through their necks, rather than their mouths. This unexpected sound from the dead troglodyte attracts another one, and they both attack simultaneously, resulting in the deaths of both Bruder and the troglodyte. Sheriff and Chicory are ambushed once more and captured by the troglodytes. As they are being transported by the troglodytes, they are eventually brought to the cave where Samantha and Deputy Nick are held captive. Samantha confirms that Purvis was eaten by the troglodytes, but she and Deputy Nick are still alive. Then in the next scene, troglodytes proceed to pull Nick out of his cell and start undressing him. Nick shares with Sheriff, revealing that Purvis was a robber who murdered people in their sleep and asserts that he deserved the fate he met. In the film's most gruesome scene, Deputy Nick is scalped and then cut completely down the middle by the troglodytes and then eaten up. Deputy Nick will be turned into beef stew. In his final moments, Sheriff Hunt informs Nick that the cavalry is on its way and that they will eliminate every single one of the troglodytes. Later on, Chicory questions Sheriff Hunt about why he told Deputy Nick that help was arriving, even though it wasn't true. Sheriff Hunt explains that it's what he would want to hear if he were in Nick's position, facing such a gruesome death. Sheriff Hunt inquires if Chicory still possesses a flask filled with opium. He then asks Samantha how many troglodytes they could potentially poison with it. Samantha explains that it will incapacitate 2 of them, but the third will remain unaffected. To deceive their captors, they manage to get 3 of them to consume the opium from the flask. We then see Arthur on his path, following the stones left by Sheriff Hunt. He chooses to take a break under a rock during the day but is unexpectedly assaulted by 2 troglodytes. In a highly tense moment, Arthur successfully defends himself and eliminates his attackers. It's quite a thrilling scene, watching him take down the savages. During his examination, he finds a whistle-like instrument inside one of their throats and decides to remove it. Arthur cleverly uses this whistle to lure one of the savages by signaling him with it and kills him. In a heartwarming moment, Chicory shares a memory in the cave. He recalls a circus act performing with fleas, and his late wife believed it was fake. Samantha tells him it was real, which makes Chicory smile warmly. The heartwarming scene inside the cave is abruptly interrupted by the head troglodyte. Realizing that 2 of their own have been poisoned, the tribe's leader becomes furious. He and another tribesman forcibly extract Sheriff from his cell. Sheriff attempts to resist but is swiftly overpowered and knocked unconscious. The leader proceeds to cut open the side of his stomach, and then, he inserts a burning hot opium flask into the open wound. Chicory assures Sheriff that he will seek vengeance. The leader then picks up a rifle and shoots Sheriff in the arm. A whistling signal echoes from outside the cave, distracting one of the troglodytes who goes to investigate. Inside, the leader struggles with a rifle, clearly unfamiliar with reloading it. Suddenly, 2 gunshots ring out from outside. Sheriff attempts to warn Arthur of the danger within the cave but is abruptly shot straight through the stomach by the leader. Sheriff seizes the bone tomahawk lying on the floor and uses it to chop off a portion of the leader's foot. Arthur emerges from outside and shoots the troglodyte leader. In a gruesome and vengeful act, Sheriff decapitates and kills the ruthless cannibal by ripping his head off. As Sheriff nears the end of his life, he informs Arthur that there are still at least 3 more males from the tribe remaining. He expresses his intent to remain in the cave with the rifle to eliminate the remaining troglodytes. After a long and arduous journey, Arthur and Samantha are finally reunited. We then see a truly heartbreaking goodbye between Sheriff and Chicory. Sheriff says the golden words to Chicory: "Say goodbye to my wife, and I will say hello to yours." As the group exits the cave, they encounter 2 pregnant female troglodytes lying on a bed. These women are completely blind and lack limbs, indicating that the males of the tribe perceive them solely as tools for reproduction. It's quite a disturbing scene. As they depart from the Valley of the Starving Men, they hear 3 distant gunshots. Chicory recognizes that Sheriff Hunt has indeed succeeded in eliminating the last 3 male troglodytes. The group walks away. And that, my friend, is the conclusion of Bone Tomahawk. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Do share your comments about this movie in the comments section below. And please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, it will help us a lot to grow our channel. Until next time.